Hey guys, it's Mrs. Dugan. I will not be here today. All right. As you can or probably have already noticed, you've got a sub. So I'm going to explain this lab that we're starting, and I need you to make sure that you're following my expectations. Please be on your best behavior. Make sure that you are working, and make sure that you are following instructions from both me on this video and from the sub. Okay. Now, we have been working on the scientific method for about a week now, and we're more like 2 weeks, okay? And we have talked about the steps of the scientific method, and we are going to put them into practice pretty much for the first time since we've learned it. So remember, the scientific method is POUR HEPCAC, all right? P is in problem, O is in observation, R is in research, H, hypothesis, E, experiment, P, procedures, C, collect data, A, analyze data, C, conclusion, and C, communicate your results. We are going to be starting on our senses lab. So the whole thing about this is we are going to be seeing how your senses impact your reaction time. Now, some of you may have done something similar to this before, but of course, there is going to be a little bit more scientific premise around it. It's more of a science premise than just having fun, okay? Now, reaction time. Reaction time is the amount of time that you can respond to a stimulus, okay? Think about if you are looking at the Olympics, you watch the runners or the swimmers, okay? There's usually a beep, or even with football and basketball, right? So if there's a beep, there's a time, there's a sound, there's the snap, anything like that, it's how fast you can react to that. Now, as many of you know, I was a college swimmer, and my reaction time was terrible, okay? Like, I was the last ones off the blocks. There's pictures of it. It's really embarrassing, and it wasn't very good until about my sophomore year of college. Now, going back to the lab. So P for problem or question. Our problem or question is, how does the sense you use to catch a ruler affect your reaction time? That's our question. So think about what your independent variable is. What is our independent variable? Remember, your independent variable is always that first part of the question. So in this case, how does the sense you use to catch a ruler? In this case, what sense you're using is what your independent variable is. Now, going on to the dependent variable. Your dependent variable is always the second part. So how does the sense, your independent variable, you use to catch a ruler affect your reaction time? What is it that we are measuring? We are trying to figure out what our reaction time is. That's the thing that we're measuring or observing. Now, just like in some of our other labs, I expect you to use complete sentences. Let me just say it again. You need to use complete sentences in this lab. You know what I expect. That means capital letters, punctuation, a noun, and a verb, or a noun and a predicate, okay? Make sure you're using them. I will be taking points off. Now, number 2, you have to do your observations. You need to make three complete sentences about the observations. You will be given a ruler. This is metal. You will not have a metal ruler. I don't trust y'all. A metal ruler and, your person. So what do you notice about your materials, and what do you notice about your senses? What do you know about your senses? Which one, what do you know? What do you notice? Okay, you can work with your partner on this. You will be put into partners. Now, number 3, you need to find research. Now, I have given you an article here. As you can see, it's a hyperlink. You can use this article to research about your senses or your reaction time, okay? Now, many of you who are who like sports or interested in sports, there is a lot of information about reaction time and different sports, all right? And excuse me. And just make sure that you're able to read it, and make sure that it's short enough to where you're not going to be spending the entire class period on this. All right. We will be working on this today and on Friday, but I do want you to work very hard to get as much done as possible. All right? So after you've done 3 complete sentences of research, you are going to move to your hypothesis. One more thing about the research. Guys, I don't want to see, I learned about the senses. It needs to be specific. We talked about this before. You have to make sure that you have something specific, because if you just say, I learned about my senses, okay, good for you. I don't know what that means. What did you learn? What did you learn about your sight? What about taste? What did you learn about reaction time? It needs to be very specific. Pretend that I'm a toddler and that you are trying to explain it to me. Just like pretend you're explaining it to Evelyn. All right? Moving on. So your hypothesis. Your hypothesis needs to be in the if-then format. You are going to choose one of your senses that you think is the best sense. All right? And then you're going to tell what you're going to measure. For example, the sense of taste will have the greatest effect on reaction time. If we use taste, then we will have faster reaction time. You can't use that one because we're not testing taste. That would be very weird. I don't want you to put the ruler in your mouth. Please don't. Okay. So we've gone over PORH. That's pour. That's the first 4 before you start your experiment. Problem, observation, research, hypothesis. Now we're going to move on to the experiment and procedures. You do not start your experiment until you read through these directions. All right? This is giving you the background. These are your procedures. You need to read them so that you understand what is going on. You need to fill out what your independent variable is and what your dependent variable is before you move on to starting your experiment. Okay? You need to do that first. Then you have to get your control variables. You need to tell me 3 control variables, the thing that's going to stay the same every single time you drop the ruler, so that you can so that you have viable data, so that it's fair across the entire thing. Okay, let's go back to the procedures. So you are going to have 3 times to do each one of these. Okay, just like the airplane, where you threw it 3 times, you're going to drop the ruler for your partner 3 times. On the first trial, you are going to do sight. One of you is going to hold the ruler. The other one is going to be the one who is catching it. Okay? When you're doing this, the person who drops the ruler is going to hold it at the 12. Okay? So where it has 12, the person who's dropping it is going to hold it. You may do this in centimeters or inches, but you need to make sure that you are being accurate. Okay? So I'm going to pretend that I'm holding it. I'm a person. My husband's not here, so I can't have somebody else do it. For the sight test, you're going to hold your fingers, and the person's going to drop it. And then the other person is going to try to catch it. You are then going to use this table, and you're going to put in what inch or what centimeter your thumb is at. Okay? So when I say that, if you see my thumbs, okay, you may not be able to with the glare, but I caught it right here. So what inch is that? It would be 1. So my first one is 1. You're measuring, okay? You're not doing time. You're measuring the distance, okay? You're going to do that 3 times. So you'll put it in 1, 2, 3. Then you need to figure out your average. Again, add those 3 together and divide by 3. Then you're going to do sound. Sound is where the person that's catching the ruler closes their eyes. Then, you're hearing Cookie right now. Then, the person that drops the ruler is going to say when the person who's catching it like closes their fingers. Now, guys, don't be a turd about it, okay? When you drop it, you need to say now, okay? So if I was closing my eyes and my partner dropped it, now, okay? Then you need to record where your thumb or finger is. In this case, mine was at 5, all right? After you do that 3 times, you're going to do touch. This is where you're going to have your eyes closed. Your partner who drops it is going to tap you on the shoulder to tell you when to catch the ruler. Okay? I'm going to post a video of my husband and I doing this so that you understand what I expect for each round. Okay? Now you are going to analyze your data. What you're going to do, let me pull it up here. You are going to go into Schoology, and there is a second assignment that says, let's see, where is it? Census Lab Analyze Data, okay? Or Census Lab Analysis. This is where you're going to put in your data, and you are going to see your bar graph. Okay, so let's just pretend that my sight was 3, that my average was 3 inches, my sound was 6 inches, and then my touch was 11 inches. Okay, so as you can see, it has come up with a graph. All right, you are going to analyze that graph. You're going to talk about what you see on that graph. And you are going to answer the following questions. You are going to draw conclusions. This is where you're going to accept or reject your hypothesis and then explain why. Remember, I need you to explain why, because we don't want to be like our parents and just say, because I said so. Then you're going to talk about the extraneous variables that could have affected the experiment. Talk about what those variables are. And then on number 10, you're going to explain how you can avoid those variables if you did it again. All right? That's our lab. Again, I don't expect all of this to be done tomorrow, but I do expect you to be working on it. I do expect that you should be at least to the first data collection, at least sight. If you are not at sight, then you've got catching up to do. All right? For those of you who are at home, if you are at home, you need to do this also. You should be doing this with one of your parents, a sibling, a friend. It doesn't matter, but I do expect this to be completed by Friday. Okay? Again, as usual, if you have any questions, please be sure to message me on Schoology or ask the sub. But I will be around my computer most of the day tomorrow. Okay? All right. Have fun with this lab and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you on Friday. Bye, guys.